Well, it's the 28th of August, and they've gotten a fair amount more done with the house. Not too much on this end because this was already mostly completely framed in and completed, but they've now kind of completed the new hallway framing on this end of the hallway, and then they've started also to build out all of the sort of bump outs that we added to the back of the two smaller bedrooms, so you can kind of get a feel for what that'll look like. And the sort of windows, they'll have to have some kind of a bench seat eventually built back there, but they've at least got those bumped out. And then they've started to kind of dismantle the roof area up above, and they've put a new ridge beam across the top of the roof to re-level that, and then over these windows here they've got to reframe that exterior wall where it's a little bit sort of off of standard, but you can kind of at least see from a wall standpoint what the new rooms are going to look like. The other thing is they've taken all the low ceiling from the old hallway out. This whole hallway is going to be a 9-foot ceiling, basically from that door down at the end, which goes to our bedroom, kind of to this point, which will lead to the laundry room. And there was still a lot of this old, you can kind of see the 2x2 that everything was mounted to on this side, sort of a lower ceiling in here. This wasn't even an 8-foot ceiling in the old house because they'd put the cold air return for the furnace in the ceiling of the hallway, so it was actually more like a 7-foot ceiling. Now it'll all be 9-foot all through here. Here's just another one of those bump outs for this particular bedroom. And to support all of that sort of new structure in the area, they've started to get the new sort of massive beams up in the middle of the house. This is kind of the core of the roof support for this area, this little kind of H ladder truss or whatever you want to call it. So those beams will help us get that 9-foot ceiling in the hallway. And then they've actually got this room framed out, so you'll notice all the sort of temporary supports are gone from the middle of the room. They've got the new header beam across this end of the hallway that helps carry that load, and sort of the brackets that support it. There'll be a couple of structural posts here on either side of the hallway, kind of where that X down here is, probably a little bit more off to the side. Those will help support that header as it crosses this area, but that'll still be fairly open through here, so you'll have a bit more of a broad entranceway to the house. This exterior wall, they've finally got this sort of framed in again, the supports across the top here to hold that end of the roof up, and then the framing for the door. In the dining room, they've managed to get this bump out mostly at least started. They'll have to have some kind of a header again, I'm guessing inside this area to support this span kind of over the opening. I doubt that'll just be a double 2x4 across there. They'll probably have to have a little more structure above it. And then they've got the roof taken out over it because this has a new roof peak that comes out over this area. So they've started to add that area back in. Other than that, I think everything else has already mostly been done. They've got the refrigerator area taken care of here. They've got the pantry kind of laid out off the kitchen here. There's a little bit of work yet to do in the guest room. They've had this wall for a while. They've laid out basically the closets in this area, and when they opened up the center of the hallway, they opened up the bathroom, so they started reframing. This will be basically the bathroom wall between the guest bathroom and the room itself. And then over here they have to do some framing to add in there'll be a little linen closet in this corner, and then the stool. So they're getting there for sure, pretty close. I don't see too much other exterior wall framing or even interior wall framing. They got a little cleanup to do over the two bedrooms, and they got a little bit to do here kind of in the center. This area is going to be a little bit tricky just with those beams, but overall they're pretty much done with the external framing, which again is pretty much on time. That gives them then next week to finish hanging all these roof trusses up and get the roof plywood, basically the roof decking up. That'll happen all through next week, because then the following week, right around the 7th or 8th, the siding guys are going to come out to wrap the house, sort of the exterior plywood walls with sort of the waterproof felt paper or wrapping, and then the roofing guys are going to come out and wrap the roof as well. And once we have that sort of watertight paper all around the outside of the house, then the other trades early that week, maybe not the 8th, but a little bit later, can come out and start doing their work inside the house. The plumbers can probably start right away because it doesn't matter if the pipes get wet. but the electrician will have to wait until everything's pretty much waterproofed before he can run in the actual wire. You can see this exterior wall. They've got a bit more of the bracing up, and they've got the doorway and the windows actually framed in now. So again, not too much else to do. A little cleanup here and there. The big thing, I think, will be as soon as they can get on to start hanging all those roof trusses. That'll really start closing everything in. They can get the plywood on the roofing area, and then they can sheet the exterior walls. And once that's done, pretty much all the trades and all the interior work can then proceed. So that's kind of the next step. Most of September is going to be focused on the interior of the house, getting that ready, wired and plumbed, and eventually insulated and drywalled, but that'll be even a bit later than that. So they're getting pretty darn close. It'll be nice if they get a full day of work tomorrow on Saturday. Next week should go pretty quickly, because they have to be close to being ready to start wrapping things in plywood and getting more of the structural support on. And when they do that, then you'll start seeing all these goofy cross beams start to disappear as they get more of the structural support from the roof and the exterior walls. So they're pretty close to that, and another couple of days we should start really closing this in, and it'll really look like a house then. So we're close.